Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keegan and welcome back to the channel and another episode of Rough Draft, where I show you some players that you might not be thinking about picking for your Supercoach team, but there are some players you might want to have a quick, brief think about, and you might dismiss them straight away, and that is totally up to you. But there are players that you might think about options or alternatives to the mainstays and the main picks of your Supercoach team this year. So you're not going to see the Patrick Dangerfields, the Gary Abletts, and so on in this team. You're going to see players that might not be as good, but should be putting up some decent scores and could be runaways for this year. So without any further ado, let me show you the 8 players that I've picked for my midfield and tell you all about why I think they could be someone that you might want to even consider even a little bit. So here is the 8 midfielders that I've picked. Now, as you can see, there's a few there that you're probably like, whatever, but there's a few there that might interest you a bit. So starting from the top, we've got McRae. Now, he's actually, if I was to flip down here really quick, because he's pretty expensive. If you see him here, he's actually 10,000 more expensive than Bontempelli. But usually when you see the name Bontempelli, a lot of people are going to be drawn to picking up a cheaper Bontempelli in their team for the Western Bulldogs. Now, I think McRae might be one that you might want to have a look at. He's an accumulator. He does get a lot of the ball, and he's someone that you might want to consider as an alternative to Bontempelli, even though he's a bit more expensive. But he might be an alternative to someone like a Fife or a Sloan or a Matt Crouch or something like that. He's not gonna be someone that I expect to be going to Dangerfield levels, but he's someone that could definitely be filling in your midfield spots come the end of the season if he has a really, really good season. So I reckon that he might be someone you might want to look at as an alternative to picking up Bontempelli. Lachie Neale again. Now, Lachie Neale, I think it was maybe the year before that Lachie Neale was an absolute gun. And I reckon with Fife back to full fitness, Lachie Neale could be let off the leash a little bit. With Fife out of the team, most teams knew to set on Lachie Neale and to try and tag him out of the game. Now, he still played pretty well even with tags, but now with Fife back this year, people are going to look to tag Nat Fife, and that means Lachie Neale will be left out of the loop, and he could mean some really, really big scores for Lachie Neale. So hopefully that's the way it goes. He's actually someone that I would definitely consider for my final team before the season begins. So he's one I'm definitely looking at. Tom Rockliff's another one. New club, new lease on life. He's, over the past couple of years, probably before last year, he was one of the top premium midfielders you wanted to pick for Supercoach. Now he's at Port Adelaide. He's going to be going into that midfield, and that midfield looks pretty big and pretty strong. And I reckon at 529,000, I reckon Rockliff can recapture. If he can recapture that old form, he is going to be a bargain pickup, and he's going to make you some money while making some pretty decent scores. So he's someone that I would also consider into my first Supercoach team before round 1. Caniglio is another one now. He's had a lot of injury, but with the GWS midfield, if he gets back to full health, the GWS midfield's starting to fire. I reckon Caniglio could be one. At 452,000, he has a lot of scope for improvement, and I reckon if he can stay on the field and keep fit, he's definitely one that's going to bolster that GWS midfield, and he's one that I reckon will play mostly midfield. I can't see Caniglio playing forward or back. He might play on the wing, but I think he's more of a midfielder, and I reckon he was going to be putting up some pretty big scores for you. As we move down, we get to a realist. Now, this one is a really speculative pick because I'm a Suns fan. There's probably going to be a Suns player I'm going to fit in here, and I've actually got 2. One I definitely think you should possibly think about. This one here is so-so. Triscatelli. Now, he's had a lot of injury. Last year, he didn't really get off the ground. He was injured quite a bit, but at 251,000, he is worth considering. He's one I would definitely not pick now. He's one I'd keep an eye on through the preseason and to see if he gets game time, because if fit and if firing, he will definitely play in the Suns team. He'll probably definitely rotate through the midfield for the Suns. At 251,000, he doesn't need to be hitting your hundreds, but if he's getting you 80s and 90s, he can make you enough money that you can trade him on, you can sell him on later on, and you can downgrade him and make a bit of money off him. He's not someone that I would suggest picking off the top, as I said before. make sure you keep an eye on him, see how he's scoring through the preseason, and if he's picked in round 1 for the Suns, I reckon he's one that you might definitely want to look at. Will Brodie's the other Suns player I have in here, and he's more of a sure bet for me. At 187,000, he's still pretty cheap. He's cheaper than a lot of draft picks from this year still, and he is, from all reports from the Suns, he's going to be looking to have an absolutely bumpy year. He's buffed up. He's been playing in the midfield. He's going to be playing that inside mid role for the Suns. Now, the Suns aren't probably going to win a whole plethora of games. They're not going to be winning 12, 14, 16 games this season. They'll probably win about 7 or 8 games, in my opinion. And I'll probably talk about that in another video. But he's someone that will probably be looking to get a lot of midfield minutes. And with Jew changing the role, changing the way the Suns are going to play, they're going to play a lot more defensive. So that means Will Brodie is probably going to have to be more in and under, and he's probably going to have to start laying some tackles as well. So there's 187,000. He's definitely someone I'll probably be putting in to my round 1 team. He's someone that I think you should definitely consider into yours. Freeman's another one. I think I talked about Freeman last year. He's just not had a good run with injury. When he gets on the field, he's a good player. At 123,000, he's definitely someone I would look to bring in, but he's another wait and see. If he's fit and if he's picked in the round 1 team, he's definitely someone I would pick. I would pick into my team, but that injury cloud can mean that a lot of people are probably going to avoid him, and he's definitely a wait and see. He might be someone that you might look to upgrade to in the middle of the season if he doesn't start the season for St Kilda, because I reckon at some point, if fit, he will probably get some games in a row. And the last one I've got is Patrick Cripps. Now, he's someone last year that had a pretty poor season due to injury. He was injured a lot. He wasn't at 100%. But this year, if he's back to peak fitness, we can go back and we can see the Patrick Cripps from 2016 that absolutely dominated for the Carlton midfield. And I reckon this year, if fit, he can be a massive, massive player for Carlton. And with a bit more support around him, with Murphy, if Murphy can hit some form, definitely Patrick Cripps is one that will also stand up. And I reckon, like Neil, relying on Fife to be playing well, if Murphy's playing well, I reckon Cripps will definitely benefit from that as well. So there you have it, guys. Just some people to think about. Obviously, you're not going to make a team of midfielders from the players I've picked, but there are some players that you might want to consider. Out of all of them, I'd probably say Will Brodie would probably be the one I'd definitely look at, and maybe Lachie Neale would be the other one. Would be the two that I would definitely think about putting into my round 1 team. Do let me know in the comments below if there are any players that you think might be flying under the radar, players that you might think a point of difference. Obviously, if you want to keep them to yourself to maximise your own potential, then go ahead, that is alright. But in the comments below, do let me know if there's anyone that you are specifically keeping an eye on. Last video, I had someone tell me that Brandon Ellis is someone that they might want to keep an eye on. He's been having really good time trials. He's been hitting he dominated the 3K time trial, meaning he could be getting more midfield minutes, as the user said and commented. So that might be someone you might want to have a look at as well. Make sure you do like this video. Make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos on this channel. The next episode is going to be on rucks. It's going to be a pretty short episode. I've only got 3 positions to use. I might throw another few in as well that I won't put in the team, that I can just give you a suggestion. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.